So, guys, this is Roboprinny here. Um, Apparently there was some footage, whether I had put together and YouTube wasn't able to process all of it correctly. Um, and I had deleted my old footage just to keep things organized. So I am having to put it back together, but someone had informed me that uh, there is a part missing between Raging Loop 28 and 29. So I have already uploaded 28, and there's going to be a video right after, and I'm going to connect uh, the small part that was missing thanks to the person that had brought it up between 28 and 29, and I'll just add that in the video now. So if this video is smaller, that's the reason. And thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy. Alright now. My body hurts. The familiar sensation made me open my eyes slightly. I saw the bright but shabby inside of the prefab. The dirty, curtainless windows. I saw the mist outside. This is reality, wasn't it? I lifted my upper body, turned a bit, moved my head, and pinched my cheeks. I tried to stand, and I could. Looking at my phone, which was about to run out since this place had no electricity, I saw the correct date. It was 8:00. I slept in pretty late. Remembering something I lifted from the bottom of my shirt, I looked at my stomach. I saw it made me freeze. It wasn't a dream. Or was it? Cleanse, purify, dream.
そんなもんは上藤吉の方々が私たちをバカにしてからだけどそうじゃない。本当じゃと親鸞様は加護をくださるとともにそう言われなさった。
おじいちゃんが死んだ日に私の夢に出てそう教えてくれたんだ。
Great Lord Shinai told the real story through dreams, making the people of Yasumizu change drastically. They went from those who hunted wolves to those who hunted humans. I wasn't clear on which side was right. I didn't even know if there was a right side of this, but I didn't feel much. Suddenly, Fushashi, you okay?
春明さん、春明さん、生きてる？春明さん。
Someone knocked on my door. I quickly wiped off the guardian mark on my stomach. It was so dry, so it came off easily. I washed my hands in the bucket and unlocked the door. You're okay.
よかった、春明さん。
I saw Takumi-san armed with a farming tool, and Chimiyu, who was so happy about my survival she had tears in her eyes. We carefully walked through the mist. The mist actually came, and I heard it's a bad sign, isn't it?
うん。どこまで聞いたのかな？
That someone always dies when it comes. Who told that to a newcomer? That aside, did someone die? No.
まだ誰も死んでないよ。
Good. Has everyone gathered already?
うん、食堂に。ごめん、春明さんを迎えに行くの遅くなっちゃって。
Everyone panicked because of the mist. Sorry for making you wait. Of course they'd come for me last. I was at the bottom of the totem pole. And despite that, I was a... Crap. How was I supposed to survive? Konzo-san, can you just die already today? Hold on. What was I thinking? Was I actually gonna fulfill my role as the wolf? I would actually create those awful powers. I had to survive. I had to survive and escape the loop. That wasn't a matter of just leaving Yasumizu or Fujiyoshi. I actually ended the feast once and escaped, yet the death loop still continued. The feast of the Yomi urge and the general mystery surrounding Fujiyoshi still isn't over. Honestly, I had no confidence if I had been of the right mind when I decided to actually move to Fujiyoshi. It felt like all the characters and stage props were gathered to bring nothing but tragedy, but until I solve all the mystery here, the supernatural forces here would continue to terrorize me, no matter how far I ran. There was the possibility that surviving as a wolf would solve everything. Though this wasn't a pleasant thought. Perhaps I'd come back to life, return from Yomi over and over because of the local Yomi inhabitants. So in order to solve this, I had to become a wolf. Right? This could be the right path. The dining hall was a much more pleasant place than it was in the morning. Yasumizu was a place full of decent people who readily accepted the idea that they wouldn't have to kill anyone today. The same applied to the wolves, or so I thought, but they didn't look so good. I was I was making dinner with Kori-san. I invited her to do it, so we would be well fed and ready for tomorrow. Of course, this was a distraction from reality. I didn't want her unpleasant nature to take over and make her throw in kryptonite in the food, so I took it upon myself to cut the veggies. As I worked, I watched, and what was going on at the dining hall, I could see most of their faces from the counter. Last time, the first day was relatively peaceful, but this day was even more relaxed. Tae-san prayer and Konzo's continuous state of high alert made it a bit uncomfortable than it was. One reason for the good atmosphere here was that no one had died yet, so it was still a possibility that it was just some sort of sick joke. Another reason was the presence of the one who'd all died the previous times, Hashimoto-san. He was a master at helping everyone lighten up the mood. I could even include Mimiya-san as a reason. Hashimoto-san was alive, and she wasn't a wolf this time, so she wasn't hysterical like in the previous loop, though she was writing something with a troubled frown on her face.
ちゃんは取材のまとめかい？
記事にするかはわからないから今のところはノーで。ただ興味深いことは興味深いですね。
オカルト？
ええ、あまり日本的じゃないなと思いまして。
ほう、それはちょっと興味あるな。
これ続けても大丈夫です？村の伝説に私なんかが講釈をして。
どうかな。私は普通に興味あります。
I don't give a damn.
でもまあ暇だし。
りっちゃんは一応こういうの担当でしょ？
いえ、シンジは身車家の役です。でもそうですね、私も少し興味があります。
Things were just going like last time. Everyone was interested in what she had to say and what she revealed in her knowledge about God's slaying and servant worship.
OK です。ここまでにしましょう。ただちょっと気になることが一つありまして、ここで歌われているわらべ歌みたいな歌について教えていただきたいんです。
Oh, herself mentioned it, huh? It led to that just the same words as last time. Mimiya-san pointed out how the lyrics had a lot to do with the feast. She began questioning the parts she didn't understand, such as the bastard. Kiyonosuke, among others, answered her.
興味深い話だけど。ムジナだけ今に残っていないのは不自然で気になるな。
The thing I pointed out last time was now pointed out by Hashimoto-san. He and Mimiya continued examining the relationship between prayer to Shinai. Tae-san mentioned that the badger was a servant of the Okami-sama and that there was a statue in the Shinai shrines. She also talked about the Jinsan's words, the badger's waiting for the Okama-sama to return.
なんだかいる気がするな。ムジナはこの中に。
He raised the same suspicion
牧
as I
島さ
had.
んが前の宴に参加してたってことなら、その源さんという方も参加してた可能性が高そうだし、その時にムジナが出てきたから遠回しな言い方で警告を残したのかもしれない。
なんですそれ、橋本さん。推測ですよね。
そうだね。少し決め手にかけるかな。
Now was the time for something new.
狼、よもつ狼。橋本さん、私すごいことに気づいたかもしれません。
何かな。
今更なんですが、新内明神の新内という名の由来ってどなたかご存知ですか？
She's been curious about this in Kamifujiyoshi, too. What of it, though? I heard that Mount Shinai is officially Mount Soronashi, or Soro, as a monkey. Probably became Saru, while Nashi became Nashi.
違いますよ、野里様。親内様は昔から親内様。明治の時に読めんからってお上が名前変えたと聞いてますよ。
The other way around, eh?
つまりもともと新内だった。山脇さん、その語源については？
知りません。
多分これは漢字トリックです。
Mimiya-san ripped out a page from her notepad and put it on the table.
新内。内の漢字は大と示すでなっています。
Big Show. She wrote down the relevant kanji.
これを組み替えると、
Then she wrote down the kanji for big and then the show to the right of it and shin to the right. The results were the big show.
神の武士は示す編。実際に
The
十字
big
は
god?
神だし、つまりこれは狼。
Great God. Okay, yes. Yes, okay.
親内様イコール狼様ということじゃないでしょうか。
What?
バカなことを。
Oh yeah, the wolf's pretty big. But I mean, I think most gods are typically large in mythology. Tae-san shouted out hysterically. You could hear her in her voice that it was shaken up. Of course she would be. According to Yasumezu's legend, the humans and the servants killed the wolves, the Okami-sama. However, it reinforced my theory. I had lots of clues that led me to think that Okami and Great Lord Shinai were one and the same. His use of the corruption was one thing. Another thing was the fact that he was natural in the battle between humans neutral humans and wolves, or the Yomi Beto and wolves. Yeah, another thing was a local outlook on life and death. If people went to Yomi upon death, they would go there regardless if they were hung or killed. And that was why they said rise not. It meant go to Yomi and don't return. But what if there was 3 gods? Like, there's the sheep, there is the wolf, and then there's Great Lord Shinai, which might mean like the big mountain, maybe? Like, instead of the Okami, so like the mountain, the wolf, and the sheep. That keeps bringing us back to life. The rise again.
吸ったもんだの果てに根の国を支配する神となった。
Well, Izanami lost her life after birthing many gods after the control of Nino Kuni, another world for Yomi, the underworld, or a whole nother world.
根の国にヨミという場所があるとも言うけど。
Maybe I was reading into this too deeply, but Nino Kuni, country of the roots, gave me an image of the underground of a tree-covered And wait. Sure, that's not a stretch. What's the point of hiding the great god side of Okami, anyways? I mean, like, couldn't it be the mountain though?
それこそ大神神社と差別化を図ったのかもしれないし、神道に組み込むために難解にひねったのかもしれない。あるいは信仰を隠す必要があったとか。
Hide the fate.
例えば狼様を大っぴらに信仰できないような状況があって、その信仰を隠す必要があるとき、別の信仰の形をとって信仰を守る。例えば江戸期のキリシタン禁止下におけるマリア観音とかね。それに神様の一の使いが神様本人と混同されるもまたよくあるわ。衝突を恐れずに言うと、伝説や神話はよそからの拝借だけじゃなく、政治的な要因も強く影響して変遷していくの。古代神話と政治は強固に結びついていたからこそ、政治のあり方が変わるときは神話も形を変えなきゃならなかった。集落の合体によってそれぞれが奉じていた神様が結婚したり、戦争で併合された側の神様が古文や魔物に変えられたり、あるいはかつて別々だった神様を同じ存在だってことにしたりね。そうやって力関係の辻褄を合わせたわけ。強力な神や悪魔ほど意匠や変化、化身がたくさんあるのはそのため。忘れられた信仰がいくつもそこに融合されているの。今日残っているのはそういった事情でねじ曲がって伝えられてきた伝承や神話だから、多少の矛盾があるのは当然よ。だからもちろん真実はわからないけど、これで信内モーデの歌を読み解くとだいぶ意味が変わってきそう。何しろ歌には狼とお守りの対立関係が書かれてない。
That was
例え
true.
ば狼イコール信内さんは未だに4つ、いや5つのお守りと友好的かつ絶対的な主従関係にあり、怪しい読み人と人間に吹き込み加護を与えることで相争わせているとかかしら。
She went that far with this
す
audience?
みません。さすがにそこまでおっしゃられると。
そうよ、よう知りもせんと。
Naturally, Reikeko and Taesan had something to say about it.
これはすみません。僕らとしては伝説や神話に信憑性があると思ってるから、でなきゃそもそもこんなことに参加してもいないし。
私がその役してますね、今。
芹沢さんは半信半疑ってところかな。実のところ今ここに完全に疑ってる人はいない。ただムジナは伝説から抜け落ちかけていた。伝説も宴のルールも同じく口伝によって伝えられています。一番怖いのは伝承に詳しい山脇さんや植松さんがご失念されていることが他にないかということですね。
そんなものないとは。確かに。
植松様じゃが。
まあただ話はそんなに難しくはないと思うんですよ。
Yes.
僕らはさっき人は嘘をつかない、もし人であるにもかかわらず狼に組みする者、その
He or
人
she.
はきっと狼様のために嘘をつくか、あるいは暴れたりとかすると思うんだが、どう思うかな。
That's true. Even if it has nothing to do with any badger, we should still be wary of such a case. But a compulsive liar, an ally to the wolves, even if they're human, will hang them on the spot, right? Yoshitsugu-kun, who'd been sitting in the corner of the room staring at the wall, boredom, suddenly spoke up. He wasn't wrong in the least, which was probably intended by
どうやら
Hashimoto-san.
本格的に後ろめたいことはしない方が良さそうですね。
それは
言われんでもあたしたちは これまで誠実に生きてきましたわ。親内様はいつも見ておられる。
いいですね、素朴で人間性にまっすぐ訴えるような信仰だ。
With that, I finally understood something. Hashimoto was the same type of person as me. He controlled people through speech and manipulated their emotions through words to put himself in an advantaged position. The difference between us is that his conscience, presence, and persuasiveness were far above mine. He was a human, an enemy to us wolves. Haru-chan was in a seat near Yasunaga, and Mochi was not saying a word. Pretending to pick something up from the counter, I crouched down and looked at Kori-san. With her back to everyone, she cut the veggies through. Her expression wasn't as bad as before, but it was still anxious and uneased. Time passed by. Everyone chatted, ate a large dinner than before, and chatted a bit more. The only notable thing was the moment when Mimiya-san tried to ask Kanzo about the previous feast. Hashimoto-san stopped her, though. I noticed Haru-chan make a face, and a part of me was relieved by that. The previous feast took her parents, and it was the time she went into the mist and lived to tell the tale. It'd been bad if she had gone crazy again. Hashimoto-san seemed to have noticed that possibility, so he stopped Mimiya to prevent it. Was it really good to help him survive? A part of me actually believed that, sure, without him, I'd been a human and survived the feast, but it didn't solve anything. Becoming a wolf, making an enemy out of him, was just an unfortunate side effect that came with letting him live. After dinner, right when everyone was preparing to split up, Hashimoto-san whispered something to Takumi-san. Takumi-san expression suddenly turned serious. Hey guys, listen up. Apparently Hashimoto-san had told him should say something, and Takumi-san did exactly that. We didn't hang anyone today. That's why even if there were wolves among us, I want to believe they won't kill anyone tonight. If that happens, we won't have to hang anyone anymore tomorrow. Maybe you're right. But if it does happen, it means that one of us here will be gone for good. These will be your final moments together. Keep that in mind and tell them everything you have to. You'll have less regrets that way. The bright mood suddenly changed. The mood turned heavy as everyone exchanged handshakes and gave their thanks to each other. Chimi, Haru-chan, and even Yoshitsugu-kun became teary-eyed as Kori-san and these words to her sons. If I'm gone tomorrow, live strong, you two. She was a wolf, but her words were so honest that they both listened without a word. The village heads seemed lonely, giving Tei-san and Takumi-san fuel for doubt. It was a moment when their relationship became very clear. One particularly impactful moment was when Haru-chan approached her lonely-looking grandfather. Her eyes were still red from her goodbyes to Yasunaga-kun and Mochi.
おじいちゃん、もし私が明日を
そんなことは起きん。
For a moment, it looked like he knew what she was, but then...
嘘。狼は必ず殺すって言ってたじゃん。おじいちゃんは春にだけ嘘をつく。優しくしてるつもり？
Kazu-san didn't know how to respond, a rarity
そ
for
ういう
him.
のいいから聞いて。私が死んだら、私が死んでもお酒とか飲みすぎないようにしてね。
春。
Kanzo-san slowly extended his hand to her, but it was too late. Haru-chan had already turned away. A grandfather and daughter, both awkwardly beyond belief. After watching their exchange, I was actually relieved that Haru-chan didn't say anything she shouldn't have, which made me question my own humanity again. Yasunaga-kun must have been in a similar state of mind the first time. Feeling sympathy for the wolves I have encountered, I gave Chimi approached to give her goodbyes to me, some half-worded nice words. I done the same for Rekego-san, who finished the exchange with a silent and resolute farewell.
昼間のことは 許してあげるから。
Don't want to leave any regrets floating around if we don't meet tomorrow, huh?
うん。
That was that. With Haru-chan, the disgrace on my name was cleared, and she was now neither disliked or liked. Sorry for taking your time. Good night, people. Takumi-san nonchalantly concluded the event. Everyone silently began leaving the dining hall.
うさいしさんも戻ってください。
We were done with the after dinner cleanup, so I had no reason to stay behind. Back at the prefab, nothing was happening. I reached into my bag, took out a flashlight, and got from the convenience store and turned it on. What was all this? It looked like the parts of a costume, particularly the kind used in action hero shows. No, that didn't seem right either. It was like some traditional ritual clothing. Bracers, tabis, straw zori, a faded komodo, a hakama. All of it smelled awful, like half-dried laundry being boiled. There was something that stood out more than the rest. It was a kimono underskirt with some blurry sutra text on it. There was another piece of cloth with similar text on it. It was connected to something weird. Oh, this was a mask?
我ら老面を授くれば必ずこうぶりてみそぐべし。
Right, that thing had told us to wear this. We were supposed to put this on and cleanse ourselves. This had a bad smell and it was really apprehensive. Didn't they have the wrong order? Didn't cleansing come before putting some sacred clothing? That reminded me that I hadn't cleansed myself before sleeping. Wasn't that bad? Remembering the situation, I checked the time again. The phone I charged with the battery showed that it was 10 o'clock. Great Lord Shinai had momentarily put me to sleep to bring this thing here. What if I hadn't woken up? Man, they threading a fine line here, that aside. I was basically being told to put this on and go outside. I gathered my resolve. Was this good enough? Though the lighting here was poor, there were fewer pieces than I thought, so I put it on without much trouble. It was unexpectedly well designed, and from what I could tell, it was hand-sewed. The mane did... Wolves even have those? Seemed to have been made of rice straw. It didn't seem cheap at all, though. I couldn't be sure. It seemed to be designed to look divinely opposing. The mask seemed to be wooden and carving with insane amounts of detailed work put into it. A true masterpiece. By the time I put it on, I didn't care much about the smell. It was hard to move in or anything. The inscribed cloth on the bottom was connected to the belt. The cloth connecting to the mask hid the face like some kind of stagehand. The wolf-like mask itself was simply resting on my forehead. As I put it all on, I found a bucket and ladle. It was full of water, and I knew I had to cleanse myself with this. I was a bit apprehensive about this, but I took some water and poured it on my head. It jumped off the rice straws, making my shoulders wet and spread across the area. Was I doing this right? I was still worried, but just putting it on was meaningless. And I sensed something bad outside. It wasn't anything vague like bloodlust or evil mojo. It sounded like I could actually hear. I hear grass being parted. I heard the sound of something walking through the sand. Shallow breathing, low growls. It reminded me of the time I was locked in the outhouse. This was exactly the same as last time, but there was something outside, lots of them in fact. Last time I only saw it because I held the door shut. Something was trying to open it. I had to go outside this time. I'd be okay just because I was wearing this? No way. It seemed like a sick joke, but I really wanted to see it. What a familiar sensation. Just then the doorknob clattered.
久石さん、起きてるの？
I still heard beasts outside, but the voice clearly belonged to a girl, Haru.
気安
Haru-chan?
く呼ばないでくださいよ。
Is it
ち
safe?
ゃんとローメンつけてみそぎしてれば。
Was she telling me the truth? Was it really her outside? Even if there was some sort of illusion, if I didn't open, my presence in the flow of the event would be pointless. I fired myself up, unlocked the door. Whoa. The moment I opened the door, I saw a short wolf. It scared me like
う
hell.
るさいな
Are you really Haru-chan?
そうですよほら
She moved the cloth covering her face, and sure enough, it was Haru. She was clad in a wolf outfit and had a bucket and ladle
あ
in her
なた
hand.
もそれもた
Bringing these?
常に巻かないと
She took some sort of bucket and spread it behind her. The action followed by a squealing sounds. I felt something squirm and run off. What is that?
汚れの運び手
She spread some more water. This time on me. Wow, it's cold. What are you doing? She repeated it a couple of times with great intensity to
何
boot.
って全然みそぎしてないじゃないですか
I was supposed to be completely drenched? As if she felt that explaining it was pointless, she just touched the cloth near her waist. Sure enough, it was completely wet. Can I ask you
Nani?
ask something? Assuming that's how you're supposed to do it, how did you know
なぜか
that?
なわかる
Are you hiding something?
隠してないで
We're both wolves. You shouldn't hide any.
何が不安なの
Those words shut me up.
まあ気持ちはわかるけど私はもう落ち着いたからあなたもすぐ慣れるよ
Alright. I wasn't satisfied, but I backed down anyways. By the way, if you're used to talking polite, you don't have
慣
to.
れ慣れしくしないでください行きましょう香織さん待ってるし
And then we arrived at the dining hall, and we saw Kori Orobi. Then shall we go? Huh? Where?
殺しに
Wait, what?
香織さん誰殺すか決めないと
ああそうだったわつい気が流行っちゃって
Wait, are you too serious?
何が
You'll have to kill your family. Aren't your sons important to you? She twitched and tilted in an unnatural way.
知ってるわ知ってましたもん惜しくないわけがないでしょでも仕方ないじゃない信頼様の言う通りにしなきゃ
香織さん
You too, Haru-chan. Do you really want to kill Yasunaga-kun and
そ
Mochi?
れは嫌だけどじゃあどうすればいいのよ3人で逃げ出すとでも
That really wasn't the way to go, but we get lost or killed by the monsters. The mist would just send me back to square one. All I could do here was pick one or the other. So let's go to kill no one. We shouldn't kill. Can we just not do this? The rule was kill one per night, just like the humans with that limit. Basically, we couldn't kill two or more, but there was no rule about not killing at all. Thankfully, we had the perfect situation for that. Get a grip, Kori-san. This isn't something divine, it's just a terrible conspiracy. You will regret listening to it. Your body proves it. You're shaking and can barely talk. If it is too hard for you, you don't have to force yourself to survive Shinai's servant. Thankfully, Takumi-san created a situation where they won't kill anyone if we don't kill first. No one will have to kill anyone if we don't start it.
本当に本当なの
Yes, and as long as either side harms the other, we can find a solution in this. Of course, it's hard to maintain mutual trust in this. But isn't this much better for you than killing your own sons?
それはそうよもちろんだわ
I did it. Yasumizu's laws weren't absolute. I just proven it. Or so I thought. I felt a light impact on my side, and when the blood started pouring out, I thought I was living out some sort of sick joke. A moment later, my conscience quickly began to fade. As I collapsed on my back, my eyes met those with the smallest wolf, Haru-chan. Even though the cloth, I could tell they were cold and stern.
やっぱりよそ者はダメだわ
The words were colder than the approaching shadow of
山
death.
の掟は絶対だというのに。
In her hand, she had a bloody grass
香織
sickle.
さんは分かってるよね。
My vision soon faded
兄
completely.
ちゃんもよし君も私たちが楽にしてあげないといけない。
At first, I'd felt the taste of blood, but that was gone
そ
now.
れが私らの使命だ。
I couldn't feel warmth or cold anymore.
じゃあいい。死ね。
I stopped hearing whatever they were up to as my consciousness faded and I realized that I'd failed. Man, the wolves this time were just awful.